You can call for free. You can WhatsApp for free as well. 08000 321 333. Start your message with SFK. And if you want to text 81333, start your message with SFK. You may be charged though there, depending on what sort of deal you have with your network phone provider. So that's to come. Plus, signs that you're turning in to your mum or dad. Are you finding that you're doing things and saying things that your parents did? The top 10 have been revealed today. Number 10, finding yourself constantly nagging. Number 9, becoming obsessed with weather reports. This is all very, very close to home. Number 8, relying on your kids for tech support. Yep. Number 7, tell your kids off in the same way your parents did. Number 6, save all old boxes, tins and bags, just in case they come in useful at some point. Yep. Number 5, use the same phrases that your parents used, like, you're not going out dressed like that. Falling asleep on the sofa. Thinking that all modern music is terrible, starting to realise that most of the time your parents were right all along and you dress for comfort and not necessarily fashion. So come on, look, be honest, are you turning into your parents? Well, Suzanne Pearson is founder, director of Sharing Parenting based in Newmarket and is with me now. Good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning, Mark.
It's quite a list that, isn't it? And I can tick most of those off.
Oh, yeah, definitely. As you're going through it, I was mentally ticking them off myself. Definitely find myself nagging at times, and tech support is invaluable for my son, and his music, I don't understand it. So, yeah, I am. I'm definitely on that list.
It's when you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you see your mum or your dad looking back at you, isn't it, really?
Oh, yeah, you can see the reflection in yourself. Yeah, definitely.
And I can remember when I was young saying, well, I'm never going to be like that. I'm not going to be like that. But I guess it's nurture. That's what you were used to. And in many cases, that's what you replicate.
Yeah, to some extent. I think there's no hard and fast rule you'll become like your mum and dad in terms of being a parent, in terms of the core things like dealing with behaviour and communication with your children. I mean, there's definitely it's not black and white. I mean, I went into parent education because I realised how powerful parenting is in the life of children and families, and that role modelling is. And I think some parents, they've come to our programmes that I've worked with in the past and have said, I want to be different, you know. I mean, we've got the basic things like texting and music, but I want to be different in how I deal with my kids. I don't want to be shouting at them, or I want to communicate better. And all through the programmes, the big message is you have choice. You know, you can do it differently if you want to. I think some parents, not everyone is really lucky to have positive role models in their life. You know, not everyone has great parents that dealt with their behaviour and have that role model to follow. But a lot of parents, they just say, you know, I don't want to shout anymore. But sometimes what happens is we get tired, we get run down. And when we get like that, we sometimes revert to some of the behaviours, like we do shout when we didn't want to and stuff. So, yeah, I think that it's definitely not black and white how it works in terms of parent education itself. And I think the big thing is keeping yourself healthy as a parent, you know, getting that good sleep, having good food that nurtures you, having time for yourself. And then when things do happen at home, you've got the resources and the energy to be the best parent you want to be, really.
Yeah, to be the grown-up.
Yeah. I mean, things change. I mean, I was thinking today about, you know, in the olden days, people didn't really, I mean, when I was young, you didn't really put seatbelts on kids, did you? It was fine. It was seen as okay. But now we've got all this evidence which says, you know, seatbelts can save your life. And so things have changed. Often parents did the best they could at the time they did it. But things change and parents want to be slightly different and look at how they can, you know, do the best for the kids that they have and be a good role model for them. It's not always easy to be different if you want to be different, but you do have choice. People have choice.
And it is tough. You know, it's a very tough world to bring up a family in at the moment, isn't it? You know, with finances as they are. So to have that spare capacity to be the grown-up in the relationship is difficult to find sometimes, I would think. Yeah,
I think... I mean, often parents will put themselves at the end of the list, you know, because the stress of, you know, financial stress and the stress of COVID and the change in lockdown rules we've had to deal with over the last year or two. That's all a huge amount of stress, and then parents trying to do the best for their kids and their families. It's very, very hard. And often when you say to parents, well, one of the most important things is to take care of you, they think, well, no, I'm at the end of the list. But actually, if they take care of themselves, they're in a much better place because they're so important in terms of taking care of their kids in the home. Then that's one of the things that will make a huge difference to their ability to cope and do the best for their kids, really. But, none of us are perfect, but it's about just keeping in there and having the energy to do that.
Interesting one coming in here from Kevin in Dis. He says, yes, I see myself turning into my mum and dad. I used to call mum every morning to call on her wisdom for what was going on in my world. Now my son calls me most mornings to seek the wisdom that I got from my parents. I consider it now a passed down superpower to live life knowing what to waste energy on and what not to waste energy on. Thanks, mum and dad. For that, says Kevin in Dis. That's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah, he's role modelled it, isn't it? He's told his kids about him calling his parents, and they have taken that and have listened to him. I mean, what we do is much more powerful than what we say with kids. So they'll have seen him calling, they'll have heard about the examples, and kids are watching us much more than listening to us. And his child, or his son or whatever, has said, do you know what, this is a good idea. So, actually role modelling positive things, it does go to the next generation.
And Jess gets in touch. She says, after telling my son off the other week, I walked into the kitchen and said to myself out loud, that was your mother. I didn't know he was behind me at the time when I said this. He says, no, mummy, that was you.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, there's definitely times where I've definitely turned into my mum, where I've definitely said something, thought, why did I say that? And it's often the times, to be honest, when I'm tired or I'm in a rush or I'm not thinking straight. It's often those times that we can sometimes revert back if we're choosing not to. Yeah.
And Michael, according to my wife, who often says, you're just like your dad, he had a habit of shaking the newspaper as mum was trying to read it. I find myself doing that when my wife is reading her books.
Yeah, there's all those little things that they're quite innocent in lots of ways. They're just they're fun, really. And we can. I used to walk with my dad in the forest, and he used to test me on what kind of flower is that, and do you know what kind of tree that is? And I remember taking my son in and just thinking, we'll have a nice walk. And suddenly I'm saying, well, this tree is this, and this flower is
yeah.
Repeating it all.
Some of it is there that just comes out, doesn't it? It really does. Look, yeah. Suzanne, great to talk to you. Thank you very much for joining us on the programme this morning. Suzanne Pearson is founder and director of Sharing Parenting, joining us from Newmarket. The time,